Now we're very happy to welcome Reverend Cheap.
Hello, how is everyone? Good to see you. The only thing that's missing is the stool that goes in front of the lectern so that I could see above it. But here we are, and I'm very grateful to be here, and I so look forward to when we will have time, physical time together and get those hugs. I really need them. So today my topic is accepting oneness of spirit and humanity. Far back as I can remember, I've been trying to change myself. I never wanted to be a girl, so I tried to be a boy. That didn't work. I didn't want to sound like I grew up in Queens, so I paid attention to my dialect and changed how I spoke. Sort of worked, not really. And I didn't want to be from a working class background, so I worked hard to transcend my surroundings, and that more or less worked. I have striven to improve and transform, to amend and modify, correct, alter, reinvent, attune, adapt, and otherwise change who I was and or what I believed. Acceptance of myself and Great Spirit was lacking in my efforts. I hadn't accepted myself for who I was, and none of this points to accepting oneness with spirit and humanity. Now, all this came at a cost. I was ridiculed and teased, derided, bullied, jeered at and scorned. Humiliation and dissatisfaction became my life companions. I never wanted to be me. I have thrown parties where every hour I would change my outfit and my identity, and it was all fun and entertaining. And it pointed to the belief that I belonged to everyone and I belonged to no one. Most assuredly, I didn't belong to myself. I rejected my own humanity. And I was never in the present. I was either wandering around morbidly in the past, or I lived with expectations of the future. And I missed the present moment. And we all know that the only present moment that we have is the eternal one. And I've sought my spirituality through prayer, meditation, ritual, vision quests, performance, monologues, travel, relationships and breakups, marriage and divorce, work situations, sex and celibacy. And I thought there was a spiritual economy that excluded my earthly experiences. Actually, I believe a spiritual economy includes all of my humanness, all of my missteps, which is what Ram Dass called grist for the mill. Nothing is wasted. Years ago, acceptance meant settling and adjusting to a crummy situation, not listening to my inner wisdom. And I've prayed for oneness, striven toward oneness with Great Spirit, but then I hadn't accepted what is. And I have said, well, that's unacceptable. Well, if it's unacceptable, how shall I ever accept what is? Let's remember that acceptance is not acquiescence, the reluctant acceptance of something without protest, nor is it abdication, the quiet resignation to status quo. Sometimes I must accept what is unacceptable, what is, and then take appropriate action. Anything less is silent separation within myself, a separation from you and me, separation from Great Spirit in me, the opposite of I am, we are, both and, oneness. Separation is a detractor. Separation is what leads me to seeing the other or being the other. And when I surrender separation, that which divides, then I begin to truly accept what is. I accept that the other is me. Then there is oneness. In oneness, there is empowerment. Now, when I'm driving, I have judgment about how the pedestrians don't look when crossing against the light. And when I'm walking, I have judgment about the drivers and the bicyclists. And when I'm bicycling, I have judgment about the drivers and the pedestrians. There's just no rest. You see, I'm not in an acceptance of anything. I have to be one or the other, contrary to both and. I think I'm separate and, in my mind, distinctly different. So I live with this low-grade disturbance and dissonance due to separation that leads to isolation. So what does accepting oneness of my spirituality and humanity mean? Well, acceptance is the balm that heals the split. Acceptance is the healer of poisoned relationships. Acceptance is the true inner and outer amalgamation of oneness. Acceptance is becoming one with all. It reminds me of the old joke. The Buddhist walks up to a hot dog stand and asks the vendor, "Could you please make me one with everything?" When I'm physically or emotionally assaulted, I abandon my body. Struggle, pain, and strife lead me to inner separation. It's just all too painful to be in my body, so I leave it. I pray, I wish, I trance, all excellent choices, but when I do these while leaving my body behind, then I create separation. I compound the physical pain with the emotional and spiritual pain. And when I have emotional pain, I somatize and my body suffers, the opposite of needing to be healed. Our bodies reflect our mental states and capacities. And in my work with clients physically through Reiki and chakra therapy and crystals and sound healing, I see firsthand how all these modalities can lead someone to brilliant body and mind integration. Merging body and spirit, humanity and spirituality is a powerful portrayal of oneness. Pain is in the resistance. And when I become one with physical discomfort and minister to my body and have empathy for its suffering, then a world of inner acceptance opens. It opens to the outer world. And here is where the rubber hits the road of both and rather than either or. And I believe what has come with age and maturity and time well spent paying attention to spirit while slogging through my historical swamp is this. There is deliverance to the sought after oneness when my humanity is united with my spirituality. The union through acceptance. Like a modified engine, my motor purrs in neutral and has a throaty roar when I'm in an accelerated gear. And here's the crux of it. Striving is anathema to acceptance. Jeff Brown said it like this. At some point on the journey, you may reach a point where you want to ease the throttle of transformation. Not where you stop growing, but where you stop utilizing your will to affect personal change. You're still growthful, but it's different. It's gentler and more about accepting what is than changing it. You reach a place where you are more embracing of who you are and of how far you have come, and you feel ready to work with what you've got. It's important to notice this moment, if it arrives, because there is real peace in that tender self-acceptance. And ironically, it may ignite the most powerful change of all. Wow, real peace in that tender self-acceptance. That's what I want. Struggling to accept something is an exertion of will, a skirmish, it's a scuffle. I have come to believe that acceptance is none of those. It is utilizing my will for letting go, easing back on the throttle, surrendering and saying uncle, while knowing and trusting that my powerful engine is at the ready when faced with any labored melee. So what does accepting oneness of my spirituality and humanity mean? Acceptance is a loss of illusion. I have lived in an illusion for years, and I have mostly lived in reality for twice as long. Revelations have brought me from an island of isolation of erroneous opinions and viewpoints and certainties to a human and spiritual ecosphere of living trusts and acceptances, a whole world apart. And sure, the old outmoded beliefs sneak in the back door, and this is why I need to maintain my spiritual practice. That is my Excalibur and Pridwin, my sword and my shield, as it were. Okay, maybe too violent an image, but my spiritual practice is my water and soil that extinguishes the inferno, the burning negativity, the inflamed need for being right, the perdition of a particular desired outcome. Acceptance utilizes the flames to burn the underbrush before it becomes the fuel for a firestorm of indignity and righteousness. Through experience, I've come to believe acceptance is the outcome of letting go of negative judgments and rationalizations. Acceptance honors the shifts and the nuances of my thoughtfulness. Acceptance of my inherent humanity is an exaltation of my spirituality. I now find myself in deep acceptance of who I am and distinctly appreciate all that has come before. Nothing is wasted. I accept my humanity. I accept that this is the engine of my spirituality. We can use the exceptional gift of acceptance to spread inner goodwill through engagement of oneness, through raising the vibration within and without, and when needed, letting your throaty engine rumble to be heard for equanimity, for strength, for truth, for alliance, for oneness. Be in the moment without lusting after an outcome. Be the hot dog of one with everything. I know it's a tall order. Acceptance of my and your humanity is the willing reach for the power of something rather than the power over something. Fundamental beliefs of New Thought follow spiritual laws, the law of divine oneness. Everything is connected to everything else. What we think, what we say, what we do and believe will have a corresponding effect on others and the universe around us. By knowing and practicing universal spiritual laws, we transform our consciousness and awaken to our oneness with God. Acceptance is the pathway through this. Acceptance brings us to higher ground, while at the same time, acceptance brings us deeper into level inner ground. What does accepting oneness of my spirituality and humanity look like? Co-creation. It's the inherent acceptance of humanity and spirit, acceptance of the fusion of our humanity and divine presence that evolves as we advance and refine our openness. We positively affect change in our lives and our world through love and affirmative prayer. With acceptance and affirmative prayer, I can truly love. God expresses through us, as us, through our human selves. That is to say, spirit is just as human as it is ethereal. And so I leave you with these questions. How do you express your humanity with spirit? How do you live in conscious acceptance? What area needs more acceptance and attention? And does this diminished area persist? And if so, why so? Do you suffer from a blindness to your oneness? Do you speak of co-creation, but shrink from its promise? When we live humanly, humanely, accepting of what is, the howling winds and raging rain, the declining four-leggeds, the wingeds, the mortal forest fires, the withdrawing waters, the oppositional attitudes, the political disparities, when we are present to all that is, with an accepting oneness of spirit and humanity, then spirit is expressed through us, as us. Then we are in alignment, a formidable force that demonstrates we are accepting oneness of spirit and our own humanity. And so it is.